Playboy interviewer Larry Grobel talks to TV's seductive Joan Collins.
Joan Collins was born in London 50 years ago. By 16, she was named England's most beautiful face, and soon after she became a model and a film actress. By 1954, she had come to Hollywood and made her first picture, Land of the Pharaohs. She signed a 7-year contract with 20th Century Fox, making such films as The Virgin Queen and The Girl on the Red Velvet Swing, which swung her onto the cover of Life magazine. Among her leading men, she appeared with Richard Burton in Sea Wife, Paul Newman in Rally Round the Flag Boys, and Bob Hope and Bing Crosby in their last road picture, The Road to Hong Kong. While the part she played never made her a big star, the romances in her private life caused a sensation in both England and America. In her memoir, Past Imperfect, she documents her 3 failed marriages and her numerous affairs, including her engagement to Warren Beatty. She had 2 children with actor Anthony Newley and a daughter with Ron Cass, who produced 2 of her films, The Stud and The Bitch, which enhanced her strong sexual image. Beaten by Robert Mitchum, eaten by ants, she eventually moved to television, where she guest appeared in over 30 series until Dynasty hit and made her, at last, a major star. In 1983, she posed nude in December's Playboy magazine, which became the best-selling issue of the year. We began by asking Joan how her role as Alexis has helped make Dynasty so successful.
Well, I'm so brilliant and wonderful and attractive and gorgeous. How do I know? First of all, I think that the appearance was very important. I had watched a bit of American TV and I had realized that most of the actresses in television series were running around in sort of either silk shirts and gabardine pants or very tacky evening dresses. Secondly, I think the English accent had a certain fascination. And thirdly, I insisted that they gave her some vulnerability and some humor. Because if she was just going to be a double-dyed baddie, that's really boring. You've got to show the other side. And then, look, you know, the show wasn't, when I came into it, it was about 35 on the ratings or something. I mean, I'd never heard of it. And then it just went up.
Well, the part is such a strong part. How has it changed you as a person in any way?
Not at all. I'm still the same rotten, horrible bitch I was before. I didn't think it's changed. I've been in the business too long, Larry, to let, you know, sudden success go to my head. You know, if I was 22, I'm sure it probably would have done, and I'd been walking around saying, hey, look at me, aren't I wonderful? But I'm too aware of what this business is like. I've been up and I've been down and up and down and up and down like an elevator. It's not really changed me.
You've seen a lot of changes. You were among the last of the contract players of the Glamour Girl days. What were those days like for you, coming in, a young girl in her teens and being a contract player? And
well, you know, I think anybody's early days in any profession are very different to when you have learned your profession and you sort of know what you're doing and you become equal with the rest of the people around. I was always the youngest person wherever I went. I was always the baby. It took me a long time to get over that. I remember that the electricians and the lighting people always used to refer to me as the girl. You know, it would be, put the baby on Mr. Burton and put more light on the girl. I said, I have a name, Joan. I mean, why do I always have to be the girl? And this went on for a long time.
well, you were called the poor man's Elizabeth Taylor.
I was called the poor man's everything. I was the poor man's Hedy Lamarr, the poor man's Ava Gardner, the poor man's Brigitte Bardot. The poor man didn't do too badly.
How good an actress do you think you are?
On a scale of 1 to 10?
A scale of 1 to 10.
It really depends. I wouldn't presume to rate myself on that. I think I can be pretty good sometimes. I think I can be pretty bad sometimes. But I think I'm good. I've still got a way, you know, I still have things to learn. I mean, I'm learning all the time. I'm experimenting all the time.
Do you feel that you're in the forefront of liberated women in the 80s?
Well, I wouldn't say I was in the forefront. I mean, I'm not a dedicated, you know, feminist in that way. I feel that, in a way, what I do is in a different area by letting women hopefully see that you're not washed up at 40. I think that's what the Playboy thing, in a way, I tried to do, and that was to give a lot of women hope.
Well, that's the Playboy pictures.
Yeah.
They put the posing in the December issue of Playboy.
Yeah.
What was the reaction to that?
The reaction was 100% positive. Totally. I was absolutely amazed. I was terrified. Because, you know, I was a bit frightened of a middle America backlash. And a lot of people had said, you know, okay, so whatever it is, there's something about a woman taking off her clothes that a lot of people don't find, that people are going to criticize. But what happened was just the opposite. Everybody liked it, particularly a lot of women wrote to me and said that I had become the heroine and that what I had done was extremely brave and had opened the door for yet another step against the sort of negative ageism that is so prevalent in our society.
How sexual a woman do you feel you are?
Extremely sexual. So sexual and sexual, you just can't believe it.
And has it always been this way with you?
You think you're going to answer that question?
All right, how's this question? I asked this of Shelley Winters, and I asked her if sex got better with age. She said, absolutely not. You want an answer? I'll give it to you, she said.
Well, that's Shelley Winters. You want to answer?
Yes.
I'm not answering that question.
What is your answer?
No answer.
Well, just yes or no.
I think anything that you enjoy gets better as you get older.
How conscious were you of your own sex appeal as a teenager?
I guess I was made conscious of it when I was about 16 and I went to the Royal Academy when all of these young boys started asking me out.
How important was virginity at that time? I mean, was it something drummed into you?
Precious gift. No, really.
Did you ever talk about that with your parents? Was sex ever come into your upbringing?
No. I asked my father once what the facts of life were. And he said, now, you know your cousin Georgie? Georgie was about 4, you see, and I was about 12. And I said, yes. He said, you know that he's different from you, isn't he? I said, yes. He said, that's all you need to know. I still didn't know. I still didn't know. And then I went and looked up words in the dictionary, like, you know, fuck. I used to hear that word, and I thought, what does this mean? What does it mean? I have to find out. I went to the library. I looked it up, F-U-C-K. It was not in the dictionary. I could not find out the meaning of this word. So I then asked my mother. We're walking down Oxford Street one day, and I said, Mummy, what does fuck mean? She said, don't you ever say that word. She threw me into the window of the shoe shop. Don't you ever say that word. I told your father if you ever said that word, I would divorce him. That's the worst word you can ever say. Shaking me in the middle of Oxford Street, passes by seeing this small girl being abused by her parents. So I was pretty uptight about that.
Well, does any of it, your behavior towards men throughout the years and your feelings towards them stem from how you felt about your father?
Oh, yes, of course. Yes. I mean, I came from a family in which my father was the dominant male figure whose word was law. And my mother was the sweet, beautiful, you know, pleasing woman who was in the kitchen and looking after her children, and he was the boss. And she was so busy trying to please him all the time, and I hated that. I vowed, my God, I'm going to be independent. I'm not going to have to depend on a man for everything. I'm not going to have to ask a man if I can buy a new dress. I'm not going to ask a man if I can go out with these friends. I have to have my own identity.
How monogamous are you as a person?
Totally monogamous. I mean, I totally believe in being with one man at a time. I hate dating and going around and being promiscuous and flitting from man to man. I hate it. I really like being with one person. That's why in my marriages, I tried really hard to make the marriage last and make the marriage work, even though I knew that it wasn't, because I just didn't want to start saying, right, I've got to go out again and start looking again, because I'm perfectly honest, I'm not a woman who likes to live alone. I do like to be with a member of the opposite sex.
You've had 3 marriages. Have you had a sense of what love is in those marriages, or you haven't achieved what the classic love is?
What is the classic love?
Well, you know,
Romeo and Juliet,
you know, whatever. But no.
Yeah, the classic love that lasts for about a year.
Is there?
That's what they had, if that.
They were 14.
Do you think Romeo and Juliet would have stayed happily married for 10 years? You
not
know,
at
when she
their
had
rate,
to
no.
do the dishes and raise the children, you think they would have kept that love, would have stayed the same? Of course not. Love is always wonderful when it's hard to get and in the beginning and twinkling like Brillo pads.
What were the great romances in your life?
the great room, whichever one is going on at the time, darling.
How do you feel about being featured in the tabloids like the National Enquirer and the Star almost weekly?
What do you mean, almost?
I'm sorry. But how do you feel? Do you cooperate with them? Do you talk to them often? Do you have a good relationship with them?
I have a love-hate relationship with the press. They love me and they loathe me. It's a sort of in-between. I don't know why that is. I mean, it's fine. Sometimes they love me, sometimes they throw stones. It's all right. I accept that. But I was on holiday in Gstaad this Christmas, which is a ski resort in Switzerland, and I went out onto the balcony, and it was just before Christmas. It was Christmas Day, and it was just before lunch, and I put my hair all in rollers, and I was in my nightgown, and I was just about to blow my nose. I heard this click, 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 and I looked down, and there are 12 paparazzi with their lenses trained up onto my hotel balcony, and I really thought, that's really shit. I mean, that is really the bottom. How low can you... The next thing, they'll be trying to come into your bathroom while, you know, you're on the toilet or something.
How often have others exploited you?
Quite a bit.
Do you still feel you're being exploited?
Or
do you feel
in a way, not as much as I was 2 or 3 years ago, no. The exploitation is really done in a fairly reasonable way. I exploit myself, I mean. What is this? Exploiting. You begged me to do it. I fought you.
And have you ever gone too far in a film? Have you ever done anything that you regret doing?
Well, yes. In The Stud, I think it went a bit far. You see, I was so nervous about doing the drunk scene.
The orgy scene?
Yes, that I got I got totally drunk, along with the 3 other actors and actresses, and it went a bit far, I thought.
What's the worst film you ever made?
Oh, there's been so many, Larry. God, the worst film I ever made was a film called Empire of the Ants, an H.G. Wells classic in which I and 6 other poor actors went off to Florida to work in the swamps for 6 weeks and be terrorized by giant papier-mâché ants. I was finally asphyxiated by this giant female ant falling on top of me and blowing her noxious fumes in my face. That's pretty much as low as you can get for an actor.
Do you still see Warren Beatty or Ryan O'Neal?
Nobody sees Warren Beatty. He's a recluse, didn't you know that? Yes, I see Ryan occasionally. I saw him at Elaine's in New York a few months ago. Warren, I haven't seen. I mean, occasionally, yes, sort of across a crowded restaurant.
Do you ever, think that had you had married Warren Beatty, you were engaged, how different your life would have been? Or would have it ended in divorce 3 months later?
I don't know. I never think about that. Yeah. Sorry.
A lot of women think about that.
Do they? Well, a lot of women,
yes.
A lot of people think about what might have been. What people shouldn't think about what might have been. They should think about what's going to be. Then life would be a lot better. And people live in the past too much and think, oh, I was so beautiful then. I was so wonderful. It's finished. It's over with. People have to live now and then, go on to the future. Videodrome. Videodrome.